killing me inside. I miss my baby.
The mother of 23-year-old Lauren Smith Fields of Bridgeport says her family's world came crashing down 10 days ago when her daughter was found dead inside her apartment on Plymouth Street, under what the family describes as mysterious circumstances. The medical examiner has not yet released the cause of death, and investigators aren't commenting.
Without a doubt, we know that my daughter was not a drug user, and I had a second autopsy myself. We paid out of pocket because we felt so uncomfortable with the way it was handled.
It's Lauren.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel.
Lauren was a familiar face to YouTube audiences. Her family says she had been a track star at Stanford High School and was now studying physical therapy at Norwalk Community College. A sweet child, they say, who had blossomed into a beautiful young woman who had the whole world at her feet. They say Lauren had met, quote, an older white man on the dating app Bumble, and it was he who alerted police to Lauren's death. The family says they are not satisfied with answers they got from an investigator.
I asked him about the guy. He just made it seem like the guy was a nice guy. It was nothing to investigate.
The only contact that we have had was from a very insensitive, condescending, and arrogant detective.
Lauren's dad reading a scathing statement saying police failed to extend the most basic courtesies and told his family to stop calling. Councilwoman Maria Pereira says police owe Lauren's mom an apology.
She sent a really well-written email, and I was shocked when just yesterday she told me she had not even received a response.
A mom who's left to plan her daughter's funeral just days before Christmas says she's struggling to find a path forward.
Life is not the same. I don't know who I'm going to be after this.
In Bridgeport, Frank Recchia, News 12, Connecticut.
I feel like there's more to this case than what's been reported. I feel like this older white man that she's met from Bumble or whatever app it was, that he's possibly got connections or ties, some power and influence for the police to have such a disdained demeanor and to be trying to convince the family that he's a good guy and not using him as a person of interest or to question him. So I'm doing this reading to see if there's anything further that can be told, or if there's any weight to my thoughts or how I feel, or just any information in general when it comes to the death of Lauren Fields Smith. Okay. Lauren Fields Smith. This is the woman that was found unresponsive and later pronounced dead in her apartment or where she was living. Lauren Fields Smith. Lauren Fields Smith, come forward and tell your story. Lauren Fields Smith. I ask that this reading be guided from the placement of the cards to the interpretation. May the interpretation be clear, concise, and accurate. I ask this with humility and gratitude. Thank you. Lauren Fields Smith. Okay, this first card is going to show us the circumstances surrounding the day that Lauren died, and that's going to be the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords is a card that shows somebody feeling trapped, overwhelmed, mentally overloaded. It could also be a card of recuperation and hospitalization. All right, the next one is going to show us the reasons for the circumstances, and that's going to be the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups is telling us to be mindful on how we treat others, like to treat people, making sure that we're treating people with compassion and sympathies, reminding you to make sure that you're treating others with compassion and sympathy. The next card is going to be the info leading up to the death, and that's going to be the Page of Wands reversed. And that card is a card of communication getting complicated, stubbornness, the inability to listen to others, not following through with what you initiate. It also represents deep inner child issues coming to surface. Okay, now the next card is going to show how the events unfolded, and that is the Magician reversed. That's a card that shows somebody being misled by a charming manipulator, somebody who's all show and no truth. It's also a card that tells you to be careful who you trust, that you've got deceitful people in your life who may come off on the outside looking helpful or having your best interest in mind, who are really trying to manipulate and use you. All right, this next card is going to show the perpetrator, and that's the World in reverse. That shows somebody that's feeling stuck in a situation. It tells them to accept the disappointments and cut your losses. It's also showing somebody that's feeling eclipsed by somebody else's shining lights. This don't look to me like this is a Bumble date or somebody you've just met off of a dating website. This looks to me like an ex or somebody that's been previously in your life. Because this next card is info surrounding the perpetrator, and that's a Three of Cups in reverse, and that's a flirtation or an indulgence that's gone too far. Affairs and heated emotions. Someone who's feeling emotional betrayal. Canceled celebrations, and the celebrations being in the form of a wedding or an engagement. See, this doesn't seem to be like a Bumble date or somebody you just met off Bumble. This seems to me like an ex. All right, now the next is going to show the motive, and that's the Devil. That's feeling trapped or restricted, obsessive, secretive, or impulsive behavior. It's feeling that you're enslaved to a relationship that's demanding too much, that's full of like greed and temptation. It's also indicative of addictions of sex or drugs, sex or drug addiction. So, see, once again, this looks like somebody that's previously been in her life, or that has been in her life for a while, especially going back to the canceled celebrations of engagements or weddings. Okay, the next one is going to show us the influence or the force behind the police department's demeanor, why they're so, why they're not very helpful. And that's going to be the Four of Pentacles reversed. That Four of Pentacles reversed is an individual that's in a position of power over you. So whoever is in a position of power over the detective or whoever's over the case, it's of their doing for some reason. They're doing. This individual that's in a position of power over them. So the next card is going to be something that links the perpetrator to the victim, and that's going to be the Hangman in reverse. That's showing somebody that's jumping from one bad situation to the next. Hanging on to a fantasy that portrays them as the victim. Somebody who displays exaggerated suffering to gain sympathy. See, once again, this is going back to feeling like an ex. And the last card is going to be Final Words, and that's a Strength in reverse. Strength in reverse is showing someone with self-doubt, weakness, low self-esteem, having lack of confidence, feeling inadequate. This is a card going back to describing the perpetrator here. Feeling eclipsed by someone else's shining light. I'm going to be saying that I would be looking for the ex-boyfriend or the ex-lover. That's what it looks like. That's what the cards are showing. It doesn't say anything about someone new or anything like that. Yeah, I'm looking at someone who's previously been in her life. Because this is all signs and situations of something you would go through in a relationship. Not something of somebody you would meet for the first time. So what it looks to me like is, I would say, from what these cards are saying, that this older white man that she's met off Bumble, I'd say that whoever this ex is, or it's previously been in her life, has found out about this man coming over, or a date that's been made with him. They've got there first, done what they've done to harm her, and then the man has showed up, and that's why he called. Because you got to think about it, you're not gonna go and kill somebody or harm somebody and then call 911 and be there when they show up. That's what's happened. And that's why that he's not a person of interest, or else why he's been questioned. I'd say there's been some type of evidence that pointed away from him and towards someone else. If I was a family, that's what I would be doing. I would be looking at the ex. I wouldn't be so focused on the Bumble date. But that's just my opinion. And that's what the cards have showed for me. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this read. And as always, this is the Truth Confederacy signing off.